Welcome to this session where we are going to discuss about cell references. Um, Cell references are of three types: relative reference, absolute reference, and mixed references. How this is going to help us in going about our tasks is what is going to be the main objective of this discussion. So let us first define what exactly these three types of references essentially mean to us. So I'm going to take this part of the sheet there and then put this here. So a relative reference is defined as a cell that will change as you drag the formula down or towards your right. So for example, it will just look like this. So when you look at the address cell here, you will be able to identify that whether this is done with relative addressing, whether it is done with absolute addressing, whether it is done with mixed addressing, is something that you would recognize. So let me just give you a very simple example. Let me say um, let me say that I just want to add these cells, or I want to actually, let me give you a very simple example there so that it is easier to identify. So I make a formula here where I say I want to add these three quantities together on the first line out there. So let me put a very simple formula out there. So I say sum, and then I make this selection out there, these three cells, and then I say enter. I just said the sum, I just added that, so the formula is slightly wrong out there, so it's giving me that result. So multiplied by this one, and then you remove this colon out there, and then just say plus out there, and to indicate that these two numbers have to be multiplied, I will put it into the braces out there, and then I get this same result out there. And when I do double clicking here, it should work. But then I drag the formula out there, you can see that it has automatically changed to B10 C9 D10, whereas in the previous I have given it as B9 C9 D9. That means it is multiplying these two numbers in these two cells out there, and then finally it is adding this, and then we are also calculating this formula. Here you can see that I have locked this formula out there, so you can see that this cell is locked. If it keeps increasing, that means what? It is going to automatically take these values out there, and that would change the whole process for me. So I don't want that to happen, so I am locking that cell. So everywhere where the formula is copied, it will become an absolute address, and it will not change, and it is not supposed to change in this scenario. That is the identity that you need to make. So when I am doing this line total there, I need only the line totals out there, and then the formula needs to change automatically at every line. And you can see that it has become B12 here, it has become B14 here, say it has become B18 in this cell. So automatically it keeps incrementing line by line out there, and then you must be able to do the whole process out there. So that's the whole idea of when you need to keep it open and when you need to lock the whole process is what we look at. And then you can have mixed references also there whenever it is required out there. So you could look at mixed references also. You see, I don't want the column to change here essentially. So but then it is there in the same column, but then I want only the row to be changed, for example. In that case, I can just change this formula as a dollar b and then dollar c. I'm locking the column so that if I drag it to the next column, it doesn't affect essentially. So when I am going to drag this formula, my answers will be the same. But then when I try to drag the same formula to the next column out there, you can see there it still remains the same because I have locked the column and the column is not moving. Say for example, let me say what will happen if I'm going to just remove this part. If I'm removing that and making it into a relative address out there, just see the difference in the next cell. So you can see it has become 110. How did it become 110? We said the sum of 80 plus 15. So it became 95 out there. Now when I drag the formula here, it has become C9 D9 out there. If I drag it still further, you can see the difference again. So here it has become a D9 E9. So that means whatever formula you start and you move towards the left, it keeps on changing, and that is not our requirement. And that should not happen here. And for that not to happen, what I'm going to do is I will just lock only the column out there, so that even if you drag the formula in the scenario, it would not specifically change. And then I can just drag this out there, and then in every cell wherever you are trying to drag it to the next column, it will still remain the same. This is called as a mixed addressing. You can either lock the row or the column. I already told you in one of the previous discussions out there what exactly is the row and what exactly is the column. Here are the rows there, and here are the columns. So these columns, so you are going to address those, and then here you are going to either lock the um, column or the row. And in this case here, we locked both of it. When we are trying to calculate this one, we have locked both the column and the row so that it doesn't change. I don't want the cell to change because there is no other column or row holding that value which would talk about the tax rate. I don't have multiple tax rates there because I'm dealing with one type of items on one particular invoice there. So I would either look at the food items are there, and that I would look at 18% there to be coming in. If it is some type of a paper item there, I'm putting it as 18%. It may be even lower essentially in certain cases. So I do not want that to change. I would lock both of them together. So if we look at a simple invoice here, I have just described the line totals here is what I said, but then I have just given you a menu there and then a simple total at the end. So what is the taxes that we are paying here, and then what is the taxes that we are paying here is what we are putting together. How did we calculate this? We are saying 18% here, we are taking 18% there also, and then we are arriving at this. If I change this, automatically the this thing will also change out there. So automatically the whole formula changes out there. So this is how we do relative addressing, we do absolute addressing, and then mixed addressing out there. So this is what I wanted to drive in this particular session for you, and this would help you to identify how we exactly use relative addressing, how we use absolute addressing, and how we use relative addressing in the whole process there, which is an important thing when we are looking at adding information or multiplying information on whatever applications we are doing in Excel there. In data analytics also, this is a very helpful tool out there. Thanks for your patient hearing on this session there. Thank you very much.